What is up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome. Stand by with me, folks. It's hold on a second. I've got a little bit of something going on here. I just got to cancel a.
Hello, everyone. Space Tomato, and this is the stream.
All right, we are good.
We're good.
Yeah. So, what's up, folks? A nice little weird beginning to our stream today. Let me explain. Hi, welcome to Mondays. Happy Mondays. As you know, we're very happy on Mondays here. Not as happy as Fridays, but Mondays are okay. What's up, Toes Gang? How you doing? Welcome. So many of you may not know, but I do have a motorcycle. I love that motorcycle. It's good times. But getting some work done on it and getting it towed to the shop. Unfortunately, when you try to get AAA to tow your stuff, they don't make it super easy to schedule the tow. So I'm trying to tell them to get me a tow truck to come and get me in an hour, but they instead gave me 5 minutes. And I'm like, this stream's longer than 5 minutes. That's not gonna work. So there's a little forewarning for you, I guess. This stream's only gonna be about an hour long, if that. We're gonna fly through this one. It's kind of a deep dive, but not quite a deep dive, because I want to talk to you guys about reputation and progression in Star Citizen as quickly as we can. But I do have to get going to take my bike to the shop. So we're going to be here for probably like 45 minutes, if that. But a big welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining in. Those who did. Echo with all the toes spam. Rhino, good to see you. Welcome in, welcome in. Maverick, Fasten, Phallus, Stang, Kilowatt, Matt Sully, good to see you all. Good morning to the garden. We are a day closer to 323 Vassen. That's, you're not wrong. Super Nightman, good to see you. Wise Guy, welcome, welcome. Martin. Victor, Barium. Y'all had a good weekend? Oh, I see a trashed red panda as well. What's going on with the bike? Nothing, I haven't ridden it in a year or so. I gotta get some work done on it and get ready to sell it. An hour is about the time it takes to get from Hab to Tressler. You gotta get quicker toes, man. Gotta be able to run. Whoops! Uh-oh. I just broke something.
Wow.
Wow. Where did that go? I dropped the other half of it.
Oh my god.
Oh, here it is.
Angry PC tech.
Nope. Here's the, oh, jeez.
What are you looking for?
Ah, here it is. We're back. Hello. How's it going? Good day, Wowlin. Welcome, Reese, Coco Pink. Coco Pink! It's a classic name. Good to see ya. Simi.07s. Fury, welcome. Colt Kimber, good to see you. And Lord Skippy. Of all the Skippies. Alright, this music's a little too hype. This is like our get hyped startup music. Let's switch it over. Something a little more chill. So, we gotta record. Turn this way a little bit. There you go. All right. Alrighty. Oh, I did not. So before we get started, we got a little, we got a cool little token from Angry Tech PC. I don't know if you're in the chat, but he was in here a couple weeks ago. We talked about it a bit, and he sent over a challenge coin, Angry PC Tech, for Star Citizen, and they're pretty cool coins. Let me see if, I don't know if it's gonna focus on it here, but you can kind of see it here. It's it says trade, battle, chat, engage, Star Citizen. Pretty cool. Shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for sending that over. Usually here just lurking. Okay, cool. How you doing, dude? This just got in last night, and I'm loving it. I got a question though. What is the AP or the Delta? I think it's a Delta P/05. It's also got a little detail on the back, which is like addicting to just kind of rub. It's like a little ball, maybe. But yeah, it's beautiful. And honestly, I think these are really great ways to do merch and stuff now, because they feel more solid than like a sticker or something, you know? So thank you for that. This is definitely going to go in our challenge coin collection, which whenever we do get our studio up and running back in Turkey, May-ish, yeah, around that time, we're gonna have all these in the background, and I'll be able to whip them out and show you my cool coins. So thank you, Angry PC Tech. Appreciate you, dude. I hope you keep doing more of these. He's shown me some of his stuff that he's doing for Star Citizen, and they're really freaking cool. Like some of them are alien themed and stuff. Official. Space Tomato likes to rub little coins. We're gonna put it that way, yeah? Still disappointed we don't have any clothing from the thumbnail. Thumbnail's got cool clothing, huh? Combination of having a bike and being this clumsy sounds dangerous. I'm only clumsy on stream. The only place I am clumsy is in front of the camera. So it's okay. Riding motorcycles for 15 years, no crashes. Yet. Well, I'm not clumsy. Spin on the table. Oh, it's a spinner! Hey, it's like a little top. Okay, that's cool. Very nice. I love that. That's a good touch. Well, thank you, dude. Appreciate it. And thank you for the sub, Holston Coop. I see you 40 freaking months. I feel like Holston Coop's got the longest on here. Longest or second longest. Dude, shout out to the toes, man. Hope you're having a good February. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy, I guess, American Black History Month. Do you say Black History Month to people who aren't in America? Not like... You'd love to have a bike, but you'd crash it day one. Bikes are cool. Just a little scary. When will the second part of Star Citizen Occupation video be visible to everybody? Late this month, probably. Or early March. Alright, guys. Let's talk about reputation. So, progression in Star Citizen is going to be pretty important because, as you know, a lot of people... one of the first things people will hear about this game is that it's pay to win. You have to pay a lot of money or else you can't do anything. And one of the things that there are actually a lot of different things they try to do to make it so that the ships you're buying don't necessarily just automatically make you a better player. Engineering's one of those things. The cargo system is one of those things.
Wow.
The survivability system. All of these things are things that are supposed to make things other than just the ship you're flying, you know, have an impact on what's going on. So one of the less tangible things that hasn't been super apparent in Star Citizen, but it's really starting to take some priority in development, is reputation, which is, in my opinion, the probably the second biggest thing in terms of progression. I would say ships is third, UEC first, reputation second, ships third. That's just because you can buy ships. I guess you can buy UEC as well. So let's put reputation at number one, yeah? And it's supposed to be linked to not just the missions that we do, but also the people you meet. So if there's a specific AI in a city that hands out missions, you will have a relationship that defines whether or not they want to do missions with you, or whether or not they pay you a certain amount when you do those missions. And we've got quite a few discussion points here over the last 2 to 4 years, just sort of showing the path of progression of how they want to do reputation. So, like I said, we've got about 40-ish minutes here, 50 minutes. We're going to fly through these and talk a little bit more in depth about reputation in Star Citizen and how it's going to affect the game. Let's dive in. Here's the introduction. Oh, that's really, really quiet. Man, they made their videos so quiet back then.
The reputation system that will essentially allow us to track values for a player's reputation with an entity. And when I say entity, that could be an NPC, an organization, heck, it could be a table if you want. So long as it has a persistent ID with it, we can track a value against it.
Still alive, I think.
Not only can we track a value, we can track several values. Those values are in something that we call a scope. When we say scope, we're talking about two different things. There's affinity, which is this kind of measure of how much a entity likes you, and that's common across all these entities, NPCs, organizations, etc.
Hello.
A few different things affect affinity. It's going to be mostly your mission performance, and more specifically actually, what you do during that mission. That's when affinity will really get big boosts. It is also worth noting that we can affect affinity through just your everyday action. For organizations, affinity is a little bit different in that it kind of represents the amalgamated opinion of that organization and its members towards you. It's going to control a lot of things like whether or not they want to attack you or help you, for instance. And then there's confidence slash career. Confidence is exclusive to mission givers, and it kind of says how good they think you are at your job. Career is how an organization might be tracking that same value, how good you are at your job. The difference with an organization is that they can have several career scopes. So a security company like Crusader Security might have a bounty scope, but they also might have a defense scope or a jailer scope or any number of these career scopes that we want to track your different levels of career proficiency with different kinds of gameplay. Within scopes, we have this concept of standings. These are the ranks that you move through from negative whatever to positive whatever, and we can tell when we assess you either through the missions or the mission givers or NPCs or however they are looking at you, what standing you are at. One of the things that we are very excited to have is these reputations giving you things when you get to those higher standings.
See, now that's where we really have not, and we're going to get to that. It's only just now starting to happen here. We're going to talk about it with the cargo stuff they're doing this year, but that's why I'm getting into this, because we've been hearing about reputation for a long time. I actually made a video on it a few years ago, but it was essentially dropped from development. The team that was working on reputation had to be reassigned. This is what has happened and has delayed many features before it. Reputation is just another, victim of that, but the missions team picked up Reputation, I think, about a year ago, maybe a year and a few months ago, and has been working on it and getting it slowly to the point where we're going to get hostility based on Reputation in 3.23, and the cargo missions are going to start to give out some Reputation-based rewards. And I've heard a little bit more about that. Just kind of rumors and murmurs. We'll wait to talk more about that, but we might be seeing some good Reputation stuff in the next couple of years, and they used to talk about this stuff, but man, it's... we never really got anything other than slightly higher payouts, I think, for most missions, besides like the CDF stuff.
This is giving you benefits and rewards for progressing through the game. It's a progression system at its heart. The other thing that I'm really excited about with this coming out is the concept of allowing for group building and community building with this by allowing you to bring something unique to your group of friends table. You might have a reputation with a certain organization at a high level that your other friends don't, and you've maybe done a little bit of extra work to maintain that, get that up there, etc. And as a result, you're able to bring in something cool like a mission that normally they wouldn't be able to do. Plus, everybody likes bragging rights. We all know that you're going to be putting up screenshots on the subreddit or whatever saying, look at all these reputations I have at max, look at what I'm able to maintain, all that. We're darn excited about how that's going to play out potentially. So for this release, a lot of our focus is around missions and how that's going to be affecting things like your affinity and confidence, but going forward, you'll be having actions that affect your reputation of other kinds. So that's going to be things like a mission giver where you might push them, but it also could be like if you shoot at them, or if you shove one of their friends, or if you talk to them in the wrong way, if you choose a bad choice in a conversation tree. It could be any number of things. We even have talked about some...
Also, if you're stinky.
Fun stuff where, like, Konstantin Hersen, for instance, is a bit of a snob. You walk in wearing a bad coat or, like, some weird clothes, he might think less of you. You can also key it off of things like when you have...
And that's a thing. The idea that you have hygiene, a lot of people find the idea of hygiene in this game rather weird. It doesn't mean you're going to have to brush your teeth and wash your hands and go to the bathroom and wipe your butt and use a bidet, and all those have different meters. It just means I think there's one thing that determines hygiene, and that's like, change your armor, take a shower. Any of those things change it. But that could also factor into reputation.
A ship that is controlled by maybe Crusader Security. We could key it off of something like you go into the wrong area. I mean, you just walk into a club where the bouncer doesn't want you to be there. We could key it off of you having the wrong decal on your ship, or flying in a way that a person doesn't really think that you're flying in a cool way, essentially. It's very open-ended. One of the things that we're really looking forward to is giving flavor to organizations by essentially playing with what they like and don't like. So there might be an organization that really likes it when you go around PvPing and killing other players. There might be organizations that frown on that a little bit. There might be organizations that really, really like it when you do piracy or smuggling or illegal acts, and there might also be some that aren't so okay with that. And that feel is going to allow us to bring a lot of the lore that up until now has existed on a website into the game so that you guys can actually experience it and get to know these people in the universe. And all that brings me to the topic of drift. Drift is the concept that over time your reputation might move up or down based on the mission giver organization essentially moving towards neutral with you. Now, before you all get your torches and pitchforks out, the concept here isn't to enforce a horrifying grind or anything like that. We do want to reward you for gameplay that you already want to do on your own. But we do want to make sure also that these very high ends of reputation are things that take effort to get to and maintain. And by doing that, we let people sort of be unique and interesting by saying, I want to make sure that I keep that one and that one at max, and put in that effort, and keep people interested in the game in a long-term sense.
It'll be
goals.
It'll be interesting to see if they do change this confidence and affinity and the way that it works between. I think they were saying that one of them is kind of their actual confidence in how well you can do a mission. So like whether or not they'll give you a mission, the other is affinity of like if they're even willing to talk to you. And I'm interested in seeing how they build these out. This is going to be what seems like the system that determines your long-term crime stat, kind of. Like if you have, like say you recently ran in with Hurston Security. For whatever reason, you were taking a mission with a friend and it just so happened to rub up against Hurston Security and you accidentally shot one of their people. Boom. You have a level 3 crime stat and you're done for. But like what if in this game you have really high affinity and confidence from Hurston Security, you shoot one of their guys, yes, they give you a crime stat, but because of your reputation, they just like stop you and give you a warning or something. Or maybe they just turn you into the central office. It'll be interesting to see how building up these sort of relationships can also affect even just your whether or not you're going to go to jail when you commit a crime. So that's most of what they had to say about reputation at that point. Yeah, of course you're going to lose rep, but they react to you differently. You know, if you have a high rep versus a low rep, doesn't matter what the crime is, there should be a different reaction. So that was back in 2021, about 3 years ago. And here we come up to less than a year later. They had talked about reputation throughout that time. Don't get me wrong. But they really started to tease it with this one. It's just funny because what I'm about to show you was almost never touched on again. Like, not even acknowledged again. Kind of funny.
Let's switch gears here. From bounty hunting to mining, from emergency response to racing to espionage and security, as the reputation system continues to grow and expand within Star Citizen, so too must the interface that represents it. To that end, explorations are underway mapping out the representative icons for some of the various mission type career paths currently in development for the persistent universe. Now, in a recent sprint, icons for several more reputation paths were proposed, including kidnapping, hauling, smuggling, and theft. Now, these aren't the full array of possible reputation paths, just a few that the UI team is currently making icons for, but we'll be covering more about this massive expansion of the reputation system and the various mission types and activities that go along with it as development continues. Yes, I can already tell that some of you are a little too excited to build your reputation in kidnapping. And it bothers me.
And we're waiting.
Meanwhile,
let us kidnap. No, so this was again. This is an update from February 2022, and it is not a single one of these has shown up, but it does give us an idea of just how much this reputation system is supposed to expand. This is going to act as kind of the guiding path that, you know, either you take part in your sandbox gameplay and do all your stuff, or maybe you just pursue the reputation path and go through missions and stuff, or you do both. But I'm interested in seeing, like, what is medicine? Is this like crafting? Or is this just healing? Because they don't actually, this one, the only thing it says up here is military liaison. They're not changing the actual descriptions. But I'm guessing this is like a medical person. Hired muscle. What is that? just an escort. So a lot of cool ways. Espionage, courier is separate from hauling, and this is all subject to change. I mean, this was 2 years ago, and will we continue to build out? They'll continue to build it out separately from what we're seeing here, but I think that's an interesting bit of reputation to touch on throughout the times. Here's another update though from last year, I believe. Yeah, this is from last year, talking about some of the missions that they're actually working on getting into the game to start building more on reputation. And this will lead us into some more talks about missions, and then from the mission team themselves, who are the ones who are taking care of all the reputation development at this point. So check this out. We're actually already running these missions. They're in the game. And reputation in the game does factor into whether you can earn them or not.
Securities, and you have to kill the bosses that come out and get the data pad off of those.
I do a lot of bunker missions, so I'm excited to get some more variety in them. Unfortunately, like, I play more on the lawful side of things, so if it's like a bunker mission where I have to kill like security guards, I'll be less inclined to do it. But if it's shoot nine tails and steal their stuff, then yeah, I'm all for it.
So the reputation ladder is going to be tied to these missions. A lot of players care about the reputation ladder themselves in completing that process, but as an extra incentive to climb it, they will unlock the harder tiers of this mission. And in the process of doing so, there will be more data pads that can drop across the mission. It will be more difficult to stay at the location the more data pads you want to retrieve, and you can sift your way through the mission critical items and the extra items of the things you want, load them up, get them out of the UGF onto your ship and away. So it's going to be all about how much players want to go for the extra bonus loot, whether it's worth the risk of staying if they are low on ammo or are being overwhelmed, or if they have enough friends to bring to them to the location, which versions of the mission that they do. So I think it's going to be really interesting, and it gives players the opportunity to do missions at their own pace and, you know, remain at the location as long as possible as the risk increases.
It's really... This feels like it's going to be really complicated when you start running with groups of people in different factions with different reputation levels of, like, how in the world do the AI react to the people? If you got two people, one is an absolute enemy of Xenothreat, the other one is a super good friend of Xenothreat, and they both walk into a Xenothreat outpost in Pyro. Does the person who is with the person who's an enemy of Xenothreat also get shot just because they're associated? Or do they have... They're just ignored? In that case, what if they start shooting back at the Xenothreat people to help their friend? Would Xenothreat shoot back? Because they have a really good reputation? I mean, I guess if somebody shoots you, you shoot back, right? So all your reputation is gone. Like, there's just... It's a lot. It's going to be really fun to explore this system because we all kind of have an idea of how it's going to work, but we don't know the specifics like that. Maybe you do. Maybe you're Repstradamus or something. I don't know. All right, here's some more talk that they had. This is a brief touch on another recent mission that they're working on. In fact, I'll let you guys... How long is this? This is 2 minutes long. I'll let you hear this whole thing. This is one of the upcoming missions that we're going to get that will likely... It's going to be, I think, more fun than the other missions we've had. But I'll let you hear about it and hear how it links into reputation. Enjoy. After this, we get into the discussion part.
One of the things farther ahead that we're working on is barge heist. It's basically taking what we know to be popular and fun in this game, so something like Jump Town, but we're making it have a finite resource and a much more interesting location.
What we're doing is allowing players to buy in information similar to how some of the salvage contracts work. And from there, they get the information about where this cargo barge is, owned by Crusader, and happens to be just in the middle of this heist situation where the Nine Tails are taking it over and they're trying to take all this stuff from Crusader.
It's the barge that we use in Siege of Horizon, heavily modified, so there'll be lots of entrances and exits. What's great about using the barge is that we can put it anywhere on Crusader, you know, far away from the landing zones and anything that, you know, may cause performance to dip. So there should be no performance impacts.
We've placed a terminal, a cargo terminal, inside of the container interior of the barge. And when players find this terminal, they can turn it on to open various containers using different kinds of ID codes found in the environment.
Basically, you unlock several cargo containers belonging to different companies, and different companies have different items in there.
So hopefully, players will learn which containers might contain what types of materials based on the brands, right? Crusader Industries is transporting completely different types of loot than maybe, say, ArcCorp is.
The cargo containers open all in different rooms around that location. You're fighting over every single box, trying to hold down like a room. There's no way you can hold down the entire thing unless you hold all the entrances. The location is so like so much of a maze. You'll have people stumbling in and out of it, and lots of people wondering, you know, oh, is this person here to steal a box, or is he just trying to get through to the next room?
What we really wanted to achieve with this is give the players complete freedom of which side to take. You don't take a contract from Crusader asking for help, or from Ninetales wanting you to help them to take something.
In future, when we have reputation-based hostility and you can make friends with these guys, they will be your cover. So I can see plenty of exciting PvP action that's going to come from this.
See, now that's kind of the important part of this. In the reputation, or in the future, when they're going to have reputation-based hostility, this is the kind of mission that will be like you enter it and then you can fight for either side. Something that we've been wanting to do in Xenothreat for a long time. And if you look at our 323 update, as we've talked about, reputation-based hostility. So I'm thinking these barge heists, actually, there's a good chance we'll see it in 323 alongside this. Be a great way for them to start showing off the features, and a good way to test it out. So that might be something that we do see added to this release view at some point soon. But yeah, that was kind of the important part of this that I wanted to touch on.
This mission. So that's a brief look at some of the things the mission team has been working on recently. We can't wait to get in your hands, especially the ship trespass system. That's going to change the game completely. And yeah, I personally am really excited about barge heists, so thanks for watching.
Do we get garden-themed cargo boxes? Hell yeah, dude. Just like a bunch of tomatoes on the side. It looks like you're just carrying the absolute goat fruit. Oh, geez. We got a new challenge started. 100,000 coins for animates. Mrs. T. Okay, here we're going to get into some discussion from the mission team themselves. Talking a little bit about their future plans for Reputation as of 9 months ago. So again, this is the team that is actually dedicated to creating Reputation gameplay and progression, and also working with like the mission givers so that we have better one-on-one Reputation relationships and actual variety to how we experience these missions. Here is a couple folks from the missions team. I think this part is about 10 minutes long, so I'll probably cut it off a couple times.
Let's wrap this question up by saying there are a number of mission givers.
Yes.
They've already had their PCAP recorded. They've already had.
Yeah, let's go back.
In the game at the moment. So you've got them there. Their name.
Yeah.
Unless you don't want to read it out.
But
Batista,
call me a name. Batista and Gibbs.
And Gibbs. There we go. I remembered the Batista, but I forgot the Gibbs. So they're like they're two people. They're like a mission giver of two people, which is a new thing, which is partly probably why they're not in the game yet. So there's another challenge for us. So that, yeah, they head up like Crusader Security, and they would be offering security missions. And of course, there's Tessa Bannister, who isn't in the game at the moment, but she will be coming back. And
Yeah. The new Imperator.
Pardon? No, no.
I'm reading Twitch chat. That's not.
She's not jaded enough to be that sort of person.
Provocative.
Not really. More provocative.
No, but no. Let's wrap this question up by saying there are a number of mission givers.
Yes.
They've already had their PCAP recorded. They've already had their.
I just wanted to touch on the mission givers a little bit, so you know they're being worked on.
Confluence of AI, of character art, of animation, of location, all that stuff that comes together that has to pull one, and they're all just on
There is
things that
also
they
another
need.
aspect, which is we don't want to put out more mission givers where they don't have missions.
Yes.
Fair.
Content.
So
Fair.
it's kind of like we've already done that. We don't want to do more of that.
Dirty Merc says, do we have a path when a mission fails due to circumstances that are out of our control, like a server or no spawns or item delivery despawn, to redo the mission without incurring a negative reputation? This is a good question. Good job, Dirty Merc.
Yeah, so the thing is, if we would be able to detect if one of these bad things had happened, we would have modified the mission such that it would be a fix and you would never see it happen. Of course, it still happens because we know it happens. And in the case specifically with reputation, and the reputation hit, because of course reputation is progression to get new missions and whatnot, we do and have selectively in the past decided we're going to remove this negative hit on a fail. But the problem is, if you do it everywhere, you bury bugs. And we don't want to bury bugs. We don't want to ruin your day either, but at the same time, we need to figure out some things are within our, some things are within the wheelhouse of what missions can fix, and some things are outside of what missions can fix. But we still can't just we turn that off and then we never really improve it as a system. We never even fix it as a system. So it's not that we're vindictive or anything. We just want to make it better. And sometimes we need to find the bug, and sometimes it's really hard to find the bug.
Yeah. Now you make a good point. There's always it's workarounds not only don't solve the problem, but sometimes they can exasperate and prolong the existence.
Yeah, it could be further down the line when suddenly
This is not reputation, my friends.
Oh, it's broken, so we turn it off. Then suddenly the load of designers go and implement something and they put it across loads of missions and they turn it all on and it all breaks. And then you're like, oh no, we didn't fix the thing that was underlying that, that would be very bad. Yeah. So whilst we have less missions, we want to fix them before you get loads and then they've all got the bug in it, sort of thing.
Yellow Merc, with salvaging and mining gated missions, are there any plans for refueling missions for players who maybe own a Starfarer?
Oh, right. Yeah, that was on mine. So refueling, it's been with us for quite a while now, but it is still a player-on-player mechanic.
Yeah.
When refueling was first being designed, there was an effort from AI had priority to be looking at.
Can I just say, refueling in this game drives me crazy right now? Because it does feel like we could be in a state where we're using refueling, all like beacons and less fuel, and skyrocket the price of fuel in stations. Yeah, it's like just do it for fueling what you did with salvage, and it would have been so cool to actually see people doing that in the Stanton system. What refueling? You can refuel with the Starfarer. It's in the game, it's just not even used. It's like there's not enough incentive for it because everybody's got fuel and you can just get places and buy fuel. But if they made fuel more expensive and maybe lowered the capacity of some of the ships and gave us the ability to actually use a beacon, I feel like people would use refueling, and that would have been awesome to see. Hopefully that's something that happens soon, though. Like, we're going to be in Pyro soon. We need something.
Ways for AI to reciprocate and be the refueled.
Right.
And then, shifting of priorities and people moving around, and refueling changed a lot, came out, and the prototype work of what refueling is for an AI didn't maintain to be matched with. Right now, priorities for AI don't put them in alignment with working on that particular feature to bring up. So basically, AI designers and AI engineers would need to come back and look at that particular behavior, for them to cooperate with a player refueling them, and then it would be possible. But once they make a behavior, then it would be something that I think we'd probably put in like service beacons. So it'd be a spoofed NPC beacon where they ask for refueling and you refuel them. And then after that, it would actually be something that we could put in a mission because we could make a module around it. Yeah. But you see how we are downstream of something, of a downstream, of a sort of downstream. So it's not like no one's thought about it. Yeah. It's just
there's also
layers.
The chicken and egg problem where you generally want to prioritize work that affects the largest percentage of people, and not everybody owns a refueling ship. In fact, probably most players don't. So that becomes kind of a niche. But the chicken and the egg thing is, well, if you made missions for it, then maybe more people would get refueling ships. So it's hard to balance that too.
Gotta do it at the same time. I mean, I'm talking about having these things available in the system, but like people are saying in chat, there are still other things that need to catch up with it. Like the fact that most of the ships can't be refueled. Yeah, he said something like 40%. You might just be throwing that out there. But a lot of ships can't actually be refueled because they haven't been worked. They haven't had a rework since refueling was brought in. So every time a new feature is brought into Star Citizen, ships have to be reworked to include them. That's why a lot of the ships haven't seen work in years, because they're waiting until they have like Maelstrom, engineering, refueling, all the lights, the doors, the switches, everything that needs to be developed for the ships to work. They want those to be in a good place so then they can go through and work all these ships and get them updated to work with all these features. But because that's taking a while, they have less incentive to build refueling to actually work because it doesn't actually affect that much. So that's, there's a point there. And then the other point somebody made is that part of the importance of Star Citizen is the congruity between a player interaction and a non-player interaction, in that everything players can do, non-players are supposed to be able to do. Maybe there are a couple things they can't, but when it comes to services and jobs, non-players should be able to match what we're doing. That's why the whole 9-to-1 economy simulation thing works, because if you can offer missions for things that players may or may not want to do in a place where players may or may not be, at some point an NPC can pick up that mission and help that player if they're calling for help or something. So that would also be important. If we raise prices and strand people with fuel and no players are around, you kind of want to have NPCs too. There are a couple things that make sense for why they wouldn't have gotten refueling up to a better place right now, but dang, I wish it was. I really do. Hopefully for Pyro.
I think we got time for two more before we bring in our next guest here. Nine Toes since we've kind of skipped Nine Toes' question before, here's another one from Nine Toes. Any plans for larger cargo hauling missions?
Hey.
Yeah, I've spoke about this multiple times. Big fan of delivery missions. I spend a lot of my time on Euro Truck Simulator too. So yeah, I love big cargo missions, but one of the fundamental pieces we need, because I don't want to give you cargo missions where you go up, click a terminal, it spawns in your ship. I'd prefer the flow to be nice, what I'd like, right? So cargo elevators. I want you to have to move the boxes, or in the future, pay someone to move the boxes for you. And I want that to feel like you are a delivery man who's loading your truck full of goods.
Hell yeah,
going
Elliot.
From A to B. Maybe
let's go. Church of Elliot is strong. We're about to watch the next video where we'll see this exact thing he's talking about. Okay, we won't see this exact thing, but we'll see how they're working towards that. And how that's likely going to be in 3.23. Right? We've got freight elevators and cargo missions. So what he's saying right now is we don't want to do these cargo missions until it's all ready for it to be the most in-depth it can be, or at least not that it can be. It can be now, while the game is still, not anywhere near finished. And we're going to go ahead and review how that's actually happening.
Pirated, getting there.
You don't always have to be pirated.
Don't always, maybe. It's maybe. That's just an example, Reddit. Yeah. And then taking your boxes to the drop-off. But I want a full, proper mission flow that makes you feel like a delivery man.
Yeah. And for those who follow the public roadmap, not the release view, the progress view, you'll see that freight elevators are in development, whatever. I've seen some internal reviews and stuff. The elevator opens up and there's a whole bunch of crap, and it's like I got to get this into my ship, and and
like literally, That's that's what we were doing. That's what they showed. That's why, like, this is, how long ago was this? This is 9 months ago, but they've been talking about this since 2013. So when we saw, like, when this happened, that's why you got all of the applause and stuff, and people started losing their minds. This is like, this is when the hype actually starts to become reality. And then that's why people lost their minds when it showed up on the roadmap. And people will lose their minds when it shows up in the PTU, and then in live. And then in 3 months, we won't even care because it's just going to be part of the game. But that's how it works. Up until the game works, it's terrible. And then when it starts to work, it's like, okay, it's a game. People will keep saying, yeah, this thing isn't optimized. 11 years, it's not optimized. The core mechanics aren't there. It can't be played. But all it takes is one patch for that to change. Not saying it will, but like, what's 11 years versus 11 years and 4 months? I don't know. I always find that complaint weird when there could be an update the next week. Either way, cargo elevators are a big part of reputation, is what we're getting at here. Back to the video.
And they're all prototyping different ways of moving the things, either by the hand tractor beam or by carts and stuff like this. So it's all being worked out when it's farther along, and we're more confident in the exact approach we're going to take. That's when we'll show it to you. They're still kind of blue skying a couple of things, how best to move things from the elevator into their ships.
It goes into the whole thing of, we could fudge it and make it all right, but we want to let our key focus is fun in the verse. So we want to make things that are polished, that we think are going to be fun and that players enjoy.
Yeah, and another team is working on making it to some degree fun, so we would be stepping on their toes. Yeah, it'd be very silly for us.
Let's see. Last question before we bring on our next guest, Salty Mike.
Oh God,
man, you managed to squeeze one in here for Salty Mike. Again, I want to state that I did not pick these questions. These guys picked these questions this week. There would not have been a Salty Mike question. I'm just kidding.
Which one is it?
I don't know.
I know, but which one?
Oh, I don't know.
I just default into giving him so much trash.
It's the one that's marked.
I took him to Germany once. It was a thing. I wish I were better at this. In a recent monthly report, it states the team has now taken over Reputation. What are the plans for the near future with expanding Reputation for players in the game?
Okay. Yes. Reputation.
Here's what we came for.
We've taken it over from USPU, and there's a few things that we're focusing on. And one of the most important parts we think we need to get out is reputation-based hostility. So we want it so that you can do missions for like the Ninetales in the verse, and when you do these missions, you gain reputation, and you can gain reputation to a point where you're allowed at their outposts because you're friends with them. You could be doing Siege of Horizon and they won't shoot you because they think you're friends. But then what needs to come pretty much at the same time or directly after that is a like sandbox reputation hooks. So these are things like, if I shoot Ed, my reputation with Luke.
Ed.
Yeah, you're right next to me. Listen,
it could be Jared.
If I shoot Jared, my reputation with the entire community goes down.
Apologize when you win.
I know, right? Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
But your reputation goes down. If you shoot Ninetales, your reputation would decrease with them, and if you keep shooting them, they're gonna start hating you. So even though you could start,
it's not just shooting. It could be
these destroying their ships really, or anything. Yeah, we just want like ways of going, right, the player's done this. It's against this faction, this reputation. So this reputation has allies of these people, so it's also going to a little bit affect them, but they're hated by these, so these people are going to get a positive outcome from your one action.
Yeah.
So we want to have, we're focusing on getting those because we think that's going to make the universe feel more alive and more influenced by your actions as a player, especially like being able to do missions for Ninetales will allow criminal players to live that life.
Yeah, because I think that's why we chose not to do Reputation for Ninetales up till now, because it creates this problem where we go, yeah, but wait a minute, you do these missions for Ninetales and they're supposed to like you, yet you still get missions to murder them, and you can murder them all, and yet they still give you missions. And because there's no connection between those two things, it's where it all comes apart. Yeah. So we don't want to expose that obvious fault, but we want to after this particular feature work.
Reputation is a very important system to us.
Yeah, we know they're supposed to underpin everything. So
Same.
many things.
So there you go, Mike. Now stop asking.
And it is entirely possible to want to murder somebody that you like. I've been in a relationship before.
Of course, you like them. They might not like you anymore, I suppose.
All right. So, Ed, Elliot, thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Alrighty, so that's where they were with Reputation at that time. And real quick, here is some talk from the cargo hauling profession where they talk about kind of how this is all going to factor into what we're seeing in 323 in the next update.
So conversely, if you want to steal, for example, some cargo on a whole sea, which does have very exposed cargo containers, you might want to avoid shooting blindly and accidentally blowing up your potential profits. So look out for those types of containers. Back to mission progression. We'll be introducing perks and rewards as part of fulfilling contracts and raising reputation with these companies. For rewards, we'll have branded ship and tool skins, branded clothing. There will be collectibles to decorate your hab, hangar, or ship, or you can put them anywhere you want. And there'll be more exclusive rewards that we'll be revealing later. Thank you. For perks, you'll get access to more items in shops and discounts on specific items. And all of these rewards and perks you need to earn in the game. You cannot just buy them.
So that's kind of how reputation will factor into awards and stuff. And as he mentioned, these are exclusively in-game, which is it's a significant part of Star Citizen changing from this alpha that's needed to just survive on the bare minimum to a game that's starting to reward people for actually playing and being a part of it. And hopefully we see that continue. Here's just a little more of the talk of how reputation will factor into the cargo system in 323.
Start with missions. How will hauling contracts work in-game? We'll be introducing the Interstellar Transport Guild, as well as formalizing some of the main hauling and cargo companies that you'll be working with. As you do more hauling contracts, you will build up your reputation and relationship with the guild. This will lead you to gaining more lucrative contracts for specialized cargo and destinations, such as different forms of hazardous cargo, perishable cargo, riskier routes, and more. So what do I mean by hazardous and perishable? Well, as you know, that
just reiterating that fact that more reputation is going to give you better abilities to progress, not just in like better payout, but better routes, better locations, better intel. And that'll actually be interesting to see how you could get better routes from these cargo missions. How do they keep the sandbox players from coming and ruining those routes by just running them themselves? I'm sure that's some part of the design that they're working on for this, but that's kind of a quick deep dive of reputation. Fastest stream I think I have ever done. But that's a look into how reputation has sort of begun. We looked at how it was introduced back in 2021. We saw kind of the way that they talked about progressing it and what they wanted to do with it in 22 and kind of in 2023. And then now we're seeing it starting to be implemented finally in bigger ways with first hostility, but also with these cargo missions and supposedly the routes and stuff you can run. So I think this is a pretty solid, it's been slow. It's a journey. I think reputation could have come faster than this, but as is the case with a lot of these things with the alpha, they got the system in so that it worked. It was something that was there. And then they basically said, hey, we got to move on to more important stuff. Yeah, Bishop, I got to go get my bike ready to be sold, my man. You can only run routes if you get orders along those routes. But what if those routes have the commodities in stock? I guess if you're filling work orders, that's great. But what if Crusader puts out a work order for 20 tons of steel, and then before that mission can be completed, somebody else just ships 20 tons of steel into Crusader? But I guess if Crusader has a specific deal with somebody, then that wouldn't be a problem. So they're like packaged forms. They can't be interrupted by the natural economy. Thought I was joking? No. I've got to get going. That would have been a long joke to stick with. It's not a game without meaningful progression. Ship sales undermine the possibility of ship purchases feeling truly meaningful, so there's a lot hanging on this. Yeah, there is. This is a big part of the game that's not... It's not always acknowledged as such, but it's kind of sitting below the surface. You just got here, Sig? My man. I'm sorry. It's an earlier one today. Grind rep, get the flare, then grind the opposite, but probably lose the perks. Yeah, and you can lose the flare. I mean, you can always get it back in your kiosk, but... It might also be that flare affects your reputation. Like, if you wear the ship skins for Crusader Security and you show up to Ninetales, maybe they'd be less pleased with you. Yeah, mission-only demand. Yeah, they won't sell goods. Take goods from random sources. I get you. All right, y'all. I gotta get going. Tow truck is on the way. So again, cheers to you. I hope you got something good out of today. Got to learn a little bit more about reputation and progression in the game. We will definitely be talking a lot more about this in the near future because this is going to be a big feature leading up to 3.23. We'll probably do a deep dive whenever they drop this update in ISC. They'll give us something on it. So, let's see. I'll drop y'all with Tom, Mr. Tomothy. And yeah, 3.23, man. The hype's still hyped. I will see you all on Wednesday. Me and Mrs. T will be doing a little special Valentine's Day stream with you. So make sure to bring your, I don't know, chocolate or something. You are our Valentine. We're having a good Valentine date with the garden. Cheers to you all. Have a good day. I will see you all later. Go eat something yummy. And cheers. Again. Cheers one more time. That's 3. 3 cheers. Bye.